Hello! The purpose of this video is to give you, the foreign national, and your sponsoring employer a general idea of what type of documents, information, and other items are needed to adequately prepare your H1B visa application. The video is broken up into 3 relevant parts. Part 1 covers all information needed from the sponsoring employer. Part 2 covers all information needed about the H1B visa position being offered to you by the sponsoring employer. And Part 3 covers information about you, the foreign national. Now let's begin with Part 1, information about the sponsoring employer. The information that will need to be provided is as follows: the full legal name and any names that the employer does business as, the address and telephone number of their main office or headquarters, the contact person for the employer who will be signing all documents related to the H1B visa application. We'll also need the contact person's title, phone number, fax, and email address. The number of employees that the employer has in the U.S. You do not need to include independent contractors here. The number of H1B employees currently employed, the employer's gross annual income and net annual income. In some instances, we can omit this information. The federal employer's identification number, also known as the Employer Tax ID or EIN. The nature of the employer's business. It's preferred to provide here as much detail as possible. Any tangible evidence related to the employer, such as a copy of the federal tax return, corporate brochure, marketing material, articles of incorporation or organization, website printouts, and any other materials that may be useful in displaying that the employer is a functioning organization. While these items aren't all required, it is highly suggested to include as much of them as possible. Lastly, you may need to provide a copy of the employer's letter from the IRS noting the assignment of the employer's federal employment identification number. Moving on to Part 2. Information needed about the position being offered to you by the sponsoring employer is as follows: title of the position, salary being offered. This can be provided based on an hourly rate or annual rate, period of employment. If this is an initial H1B, most people elect the maximum period of initial employment, which is 3 years. Worksite address or addresses, including any client sites and/or satellite locations. Detailed description of the job duties and anticipated projects. Please include as much detail here as possible. Part 3. The last part of this video is focused on information needed about you, the foreign national, and any members of your family if they will be applying for the H4 dependent visas. We will need fairly straightforward information here, such as copies of the following documents: your passport, I-94, all visa stamps, all immigration-related documentation like the EAD card, SEVIS I-20 form, and all previous approval notices. We will also need copies of your resume, all degrees, diplomas, and transcripts, any education evaluations and any relevant licenses, certifications, or memberships. If a document is not in English, it will need to be accompanied by a certified translation. If you are transferring employers, we will need to include copies of documentation that evidence that you have maintained status, such as current pay statements. Lastly, if you have a spouse and children who will be applying for the H4 visa as your dependents, we'll also need their passports, I-94s, and documentation establishing their relationship to you, such as marriage certificate and birth certificate. The information provided in this video is not exclusive and should not be relied upon only as a general list. Each case is different and may require alternate and/or additional information that was not discussed in this video. You should consult with a lawyer experienced in H1B visa matters in order to properly prepare your case. For more information on the H1B visa application, please visit us at lightmanlawfirm.com. Thank you for watching.